In this lesson, we're going to be looking at the area of composite figures that are irregular shapes. So again, composite figures just means that it's going to be a combination of simple shapes. So just like the area of regular polygons and the L shapes, to find the area of irregular shapes, the first thing we have to do is break or cut the complex irregular shape into simpler shapes that we can use the formulas that we know to find. And then we're going to add the areas of the simple shapes that make up the larger composite figure. So let's take a look at this example. We have an irregular shape, and we can cut it right along the top into two simple shapes. So on the bottom, we're going to have a rectangle, and on the top, a trapezoid. So we're going to find the area of those two simple shapes, the trapezoid and the rectangle, in order to find the area of the overall composite figure. First, area of the trapezoid. We use the formula 1/2 of the combination of the base 1 and base 2, and then times the height. Substitute in what we know. We get an area of the trapezoid of 32 feet squared. The area of the rectangle is simply base times height. We substitute in what we know, and we get an area of the rectangle of 96 feet squared. So the area of the composite shape is simply going to be a combination of those areas. In other words, we add. So we add the 32 from the trapezoid, 96 from the rectangle, and we get 128 feet squared is the area of the composite shape. Now, take a look at this irregular shape. Again, we can cut it, and we're going to cut it right along the bottom there. And we see we have two simple shapes again, a triangle and a rectangle. But you have to be careful. Take a look at those dimensions. So for the triangle, we see that the left side, okay, this side here, that is 12 centimeters, but that's not the full length for this side here for our triangle. Okay, this is going to represent our height for the triangle. But we see that we have 12 centimeters here. And then if we look along this side, we see that since this side of the bottom part, which is going to be our rectangle, is 3 centimeters, which means on this side it's also 3. So we have to take that 12 centimeters and take away or subtract the 3 from that bottom part, and that will give us the 9 centimeters. Similarly, if you take a look, the base of the triangle, on the right side, we see we have 4 centimeters. And now we need to figure out this part right here, which is our rectangle. Luckily, we are given the base of the rectangle will also be the top of that rectangle. But now we can combine this 5 and 4 centimeters and get 9 centimeters for the base. And then for the rectangle, we're given that we have a base and a height, 5 centimeters and 3 centimeters. So we follow the same process. Again, you have to be careful of those dimensions. It's not always just going to be given to you. Sometimes you'll have to use a little bit of algebraic thinking in order to figure out what your dimensions are. So again, the area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. We found the base to be 9 centimeters and the height to be 9 centimeters. So we apply the formula and we get an area for the triangle of 40.5 centimeters squared. Area of the rectangle, very simple again, base times height. And we get 15 centimeters squared. So the area of the composite shape is a combination of the two smaller shapes. And we have 55.5 centimeters squared. Now, what happens if we have more than just two shapes when we break or cut the figure into simple shapes? So the process doesn't change. Again, we have to look to see where we're going to cut this. So now if we cut this pretty much right through the middle, we see we have 3 shapes now. We have a triangle, Again, we have to calculate the base and the height. We see here 6 centimeters, 6 meters. Okay. We're given that this part is 3 meters, and therefore the bottom part is also 3 meters. So we extend that over to here, and we see that the top part, which becomes the height of our triangle, is 3 meters. We also see that we've already been given the dimensions for this rectangle in here. And then that bottom long rectangle, we see we have the other 3 meters, and then the base has been given to us of 12 meters. So again, we're going to apply the same concept. We're just going to find the area of the 3 common shapes and then add them together. One more time, be careful of the dimensions. Okay, again, we talked about for the triangle, we have a base of 7.5 meters, which we've calculated. We have a height of 3 meters. We apply that to this formula, and we have 11.25 meters squared. Area of the rectangle, simply base times height. Substitute in what we know, and we get an area of 13.5 meters squared. And then the area of the longer rectangle, again, base times height. 12 times the 3 gives us 36 meters squared. So the area of the composite shape is going to be the combination of those 3 areas. 11.25, 13.5, and 36. Apologize. And we have 60.75 meters squared.